Hi, Jody Hardesty here with Empowered Heart Connections. Sometimes when we grow up as children in a high conflict environment with our parents or with our siblings, it can inhibit our ability to detect red flags when we're dating as adults. So, for example, if your parents or siblings made you feel unsafe as a child and you had to learn to kind of compensate or cope with that, because as children, we don't really have the resources to get out of the house if we need to necessarily, or run away from a dangerous situation. The only coping skills that we have are to either fight or flee or freeze, especially when we're faced with situations as a kid that makes us feel unsafe. And this can be many different scenarios. It doesn't necessarily even have to be physical violence. But if there's a lot of yelling in the home, if there's violence in any way, or if maybe a family member is an alcoholic or a drug addict struggling with substance abuse, that can impact the way they treat the family and the way they interact. It can even be as subtle as maybe even kind of manipulation tactics or over talking or interrupting or some of those more minor behaviors that over time as a child we can learn to basically adapt to, that we learn over time that okay, this is the norm for me, that my family is going to be interrupting me. They're going to be talking over the top of me. They're going to be yelling at me. They're going to be maybe even throwing things. So for you as a child, that may have become the norm, which makes it really difficult as an adult to untangle that and really evaluate what is the norm or what's healthy for me as an adult. So as a child, whenever you're exposed to all of that, your coping skills are maybe to shut down. So maybe if you have an idea and you come to your parent with this idea about this new thing that you want to try, I want to try volleyball, it's going to be super fun, I really like it, and your parent comes at you with all of the reasons why that's not going to work and why that's not a good option for you, and they shut you down. And you don't feel like you have the ability to say, well, I disagree with you, or that's not how I feel, or well, for me, this is what I would like to do. Then you're really getting practiced at being shut down by someone. And although many parents have good intentions and oftentimes they're lecturing because they feel like they're helping, it can contribute to your lack of feeling like you have value or like that you're able to be heard. So some of these scenarios, again, can prevent you from, as an adult, disentangling those situations from a more of a warning standpoint. So these red flags as children, with your parents yelling, they're screaming, they're maybe, again, drinking or doing drugs, in a way that is harmful to you, you can minimize the impact of that as a child. And it can disrupt your perception of what a red flag might be. So, for example, whenever I'm working with people who have had a lot of trauma in childhood, they may need to reevaluate what red flags are just to begin with. And sometimes before you even start to date, it can be helpful to learn what feels comfortable or uncomfortable just in general around people that you either know, friends that you have, relationships that you have, or even when you go to the grocery store. So if you're at the grocery store and you're in the checkout line, notice what sensations you have even when you're standing next to somebody. Are they standing too close? Are they making you feel uncomfortable? Is there some sort of energetic vibe, which I know sounds a little cheesy, but often we can sense, especially whenever we've been raised in conflict, it gives us kind of a superpower of kind of sensing and feeling what other people's energy is like. And for an example, whenever someone is angry and you may not even know them, but you walk in the room and you can kind of feel that energy, feel that vibe, and you might be reading physiological cues also, like maybe there's facial expressions that are happening that are cluing you in. But there are subtle cues that we get that we learn to shut down as children with high conflict houses, that you can reawaken as an adult. So, for example, like when you're in that line at the checkout stand and you feel like there's somebody standing a little too close, and just noticing why does that feel like they're standing too close? What is it about this person that feels like they're invading my boundary? And it could just be that they're in your space, but it could also be that this person feels uncomfortable. This person feels like they're not able to honor other people's boundaries. That what are you getting from that interaction? And the same whenever you talk to the checker. Are they making you feel comfortable? Are they making you feel uncomfortable? What is it about that interaction that feels good or bad? So we're really kind of starting over from the basics of evaluating what is it about interacting with human beings in general that makes you feel comfortable or uncomfortable. And again, is it an expression on their face? Is it the language that they're using? Are they not making eye contact, or are they making too much eye contact? What is it that is about those situations that are changing your physiology, your physical experience? So is it that whenever you're engaging with them, you just kind of get a bad feeling? Or is there something in particular that they're saying or doing that can be uncomfortable? So just noticing the energy that you feel. Notice what happens when you smile at somebody, how they react. What kind of interactions are you having with someone that is either making you feel comfortable or uncomfortable? One way to evaluate whether or not you are maybe ignoring red flags is to make an assessment about your friendships over the years. And many of us have had friends that have come and gone, and there's usually a reason for that. Usually there's maybe a boundary that's been crossed, or perhaps you have outgrown each other. But many people discover when they're looking back at their relationships, or even evaluating current friendships, that maybe some of the childhood traumas they've experienced have caused them to overlook some of the uncomfortable situations that are happening currently. So for example, when you're talking to your friend on the phone, are you the only one talking? Are they the only one talking? Are you actually having an interaction? Are you continually the friend who's the caretaker? Are you continually the friend who's maybe trying to solve problems for other people? Are you the friend who's maybe coming to the rescue in many situations? Or are you actually having a reciprocal friendship with someone? Do you have a give and take with your friends? Are they asking you questions about your day and you're asking them questions about their days? Or is it mostly one-sided? This is a good evaluation process to kind of assess, again, whether or not you are overlooking some of those red flags, or even just situations that are making you uncomfortable. Are these friends really giving you what you need? And friendships are a great, basically, practice ground for having romantic relationships, because our friends can help us explore, can help us play with our sense of humor, can help us evaluate maybe things that we like and dislike in a relationship or in a personal interaction with someone. For example, is somebody maybe texting you too much? Are they calling you too much? Are they maybe needing you too much? Are they in your space too much? Are you able to set boundaries with them? Are you able to say, hey, I would like some space, or I need some time to myself? Are you able to ask for what you need? Are they over talking you like your maybe parents did? Are they interrupting you? Are they getting easily upset with you that in a way that doesn't make sense? So these are some good tactics to evaluate if maybe the people in your life are people that you have overlooked red flags with. But the more that we do that, the more that we practice evaluating, am I overlooking red flags? How do I feel in these situations? Am I maybe leaving a friend's house or a situation with a friend and going home and going, God, I wish I would have said that, or I wish I would have done this, instead of not saying anything, instead of shutting down, or maybe even instead of being sarcastic. We often learn those tools as kids is being passive aggressive instead of direct or clear. But again, these are all kind of coping mechanisms that we learn as children when we're not allowed to communicate our needs, when we're not allowed to ask for what we want, when we're not allowed to say, ouch, what you're saying is hurting my feelings, or this is making me uncomfortable. So really having friendships and exploring the boundaries and if there's red flags in your friendships can help prepare you for relationships, and getting some practice with, okay, so this friend maybe has some red flags and I would like to address them. How am I going to address them? If I've never addressed red flags before, what can I do to address these red flags at this point moving forward? So maybe you even write down some things that you might say to your friend, like, gosh, when you interrupt me a lot, it's really frustrating for me because I feel like I have important things to say, and it makes me feel like you don't really care what I have to say when you're interrupting me. Can we talk about that? Right? Or if they are yelling at you, that's obviously a pretty good red flag. If your friends are yelling at you, is what is happening there? And is there something that you need to engage in a conversation about? Why is it getting to the point where they're yelling at you? And what is it that you're getting out of this relationship with this person? And are you yelling back? Are you both being aggressive? These are tools to evaluate on if these strategies that you've been raised with in a high conflict family home are coming with you into your dynamics as an adult. And in evaluating how to unravel those to make sure that the relationships that you're having as an adult are growing with you, that you're able to let go of those unhealthy patterns that we've been raised with as kids and really work towards healing, wellness, and having positive connections with people as adults. So having your friends, again, evaluating people even at the grocery store, as I mentioned before, just assessing how you're interacting with people and how that makes you feel, what you're getting from those interactions. Are they reciprocal? Are you feeling like you're giving more than you're getting? And how do you move forward from here? So this is the some tools to help you work through and assess, what did I take away from my childhood, and am I able to see what I really need to see in relationships to create and develop the best possible relationship that I can in my future relationships. Thank you for watching. I hope this has been helpful, and enjoy exploring what those red flags are that you might be overlooking.